Hi lovelies, how's it going? What's cooking? What's been going on? Right? I'm gonna go into a reading to talk about if you could possibly be a witch or any type of mystic being. So first I'm gonna start by talking about the history of witches and witchcraft and that sort of thing. So before we get into what this may entail for you. So the brief history of witchcraft that I'm reading to you today is from this little book of witchcraft. It's White Witches, and it's more of a modern day witch type of practice. But in this book was written by Andrews McMell. I could put a little description of that in the description of this video if you're interested in that. But for the history that they wrote here, it's just a little tiny one. It says, a brief history of witchcraft. Popular opinion of witchcraft is still very much rooted in the stories of black magic and historical evidence of prosecution. The famous witch trials like Salem, and there was another one called the Pendle trials as well, where, you know what happened there, right? It also says those trials, I guess, took place in the early 17th century. Live long in the public consciousness in order to understand witchcraft and what it means to be a witch. We need to consider the origins and the connotations, both good and bad. Much of white witchcraft is rooted in the pagan practice known as Wicca. The origins of the witchcraft are in no way easy to unpick, but we can begin by looking at Wicca and a timeline of witchcraft beginning practice in Europe. That's what this is about. I am more of a Celtic witch, but Celtic does come from Europe, right? So that's kind of like where I think a lot of people have realized their powers, and that some people had more of them than others, I think, at that time. And first of all, mostly a witch, the definition of a witch pretty much is a very independent woman, or someone who's very in tune with their feminine energy. Not saying that males cannot be, or masculine energies can't be a witch either. They definitely can be. It just seems to be where it stems from, is that it's a very independent woman who doesn't need a man to look after her. She can take care of her own farm and business herself, right? And those back then and that terrified people, especially governments and churches when they started to establish and all that sort of thing as well. But we're going to look at the 9 signs. Witches always do things in threes, so 9 is the number instead of like 10 as well, right? And this is just mine, that's not from the book, but one thing to look at in your family to see if there's any roots is how your family does things. Like, do your family believe that things happen in threes? Does your family believe that if you spill salt, you just sprinkle it over your left shoulder to keep the negative energy away from you and to protect you from that negativity? Does your family believe that they need to keep the kitchen cupboards closed so there's not a portal for demons and that sort of thing? That has been a long symbolism that there may be someone in your ancestry that did believe in those things and passed that on to generations. If you're curious why, that's just something that happens, Just like don't leave your shoes on the table, it'll bring bad luck, and all those other types of little things, right? But we're going to go through the 9 signs that you may be a witch based on this book. Number 1, you are attracted to the mystical and are sensitive to the energies of nature. So when you go out in nature, how do you feel? Can you feel like you can feel the spirits of the trees and the animals and that sort of thing? And then number 2, you are deeply curious about the universe and its undiscovered mysteries like astrology and all that other sort of thing, The moon, do you feel different under a full moon? Do you feel different under a new moon and that sort of thing? Do you feel the effects of Mercury and retrograde and that sort of thing, Number 3, your intuition tends to be spot on. Can you predict what's going to happen? Do you have that sense and then you end up being right in the end? Yeah. 4, you feel a sense of your own personal power and strength. Like, are you able to heal yourself? Are you able to, even though you're sick, you may not be well, you're still able to look after your children, or you're still able to do what you need to do to look after others, and that is like focusing on your own strength, your own self-healing kind of energy. Number 5, you are fascinated by the mysteries of life and what might be beyond it. Do you believe that there's life after death, and that sort of thing? Like, what happens to the afterlife? Do you believe in spirits? Can you communicate with spirits and all that sort of energy as well? Number 6. Are you sensitive to the changes of weather? You revel in the power of a storm. Do you feel more powerful during a storm? Do you feel less powerful in a storm? Those types of things can determine what type of witch you are as well. Or if it doesn't affect you at all, you know, that may not be anything either, right? It's all depending how any of these, you don't need to have them all, you know, just like when you see a medical doctor and they ask you the symptoms, you may not have all the symptoms, but if you have more than a few, then, you know, the chances are. Then number 7, animals are attracted to you. Cats and dogs follow you home. You know, if a little squirrel is not afraid to come up and get peanuts out of your hand or anything like that. And number 8, you have an interest in natural aptitude or healing. So you're interested in using natural things like herbs and home cooking. You know, do you make your own soup when someone's sick and that sort of thing? Or if you're yourself is sick, or you believe that, you know, if you drink some tea, then that will make you feel better as well. That comes from somewhere, right? You feel, number 9, you feel somehow different from your friends and family. Do you feel like a little bit odd? You know, are you the one that dresses more in black and darker colors than in white, summery colors, you know? That type of energy. I'll see you next time. Hope you have a great day. Don't forget you can follow me live every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, 7 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern Time. The list gets pretty full pretty quickly, so try to come a little early if you want to get on the free list. I also have members if you want a members reading. I do member Monday reading every second Monday. So if you want one of those, you can pick up a members reading, a membership for my channel, and then you can have access to videos earlier than other people. You also have access to ask any questions. As so far we've been doing long readings, but you know, they make it a little shorter the more members that we have. So far we have, I think, 4 members, so we're growing a little thing there. We have a lot of fun, and people in the chat help each other out with their readings as well and giving their own spiritual advice. So it's a fun little group if you want to join that and check that out. But yeah, if you like this video, give me a thumbs up and subscribe, and I'll see you next time. Bye.